What if one conversation could connect you to the right resource at the right time? Let's talk. Welcome to Heart with Christine Matus.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on our other episode on our Heart to Heart series. And this is the series where I love to have you meet people we know, we like, and we trust, and that you get to know them because we feel that these are people that are going to bring such value to your lives, whether or not you're aware of what they can do. And that's really the role that I'd love to be. So I'm very excited to be here with Barry Nash. And I want to share a little bit about what we know about him. So, Barry and I have known each other for some time now, and every time I hear him speak, every time I ask any type of question, I'm always learning something new. And one of the things that always comes across when I chat with Barry is I do think, what would happen to your family if everything changed tomorrow? Not 5 years from now, not when you finally get around to it. I mean, tomorrow, because there's the truth. Life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. And Barry knows that better than anyone I've ever met. He spent about 40 years in the financial industry. He traded stocks on Wall Street, Lehman Brothers. I mean, people know these names. High pressure, high stakes. And to me, what makes Barry different isn't that the markets that he's seen, but it's what he's lived. And he's going to tell you his story, and he's going to show you about the value of planning and what he's done and his mindset and what he's done to help families. Because I do think his personal story is so essential to the core of what he does. And so, Barry, without further ado, welcome. I'm so happy we're here to talk.
Well, thanks, Christine. It's a pleasure to be here and talk with you always.
Oh, thank you. So, one of the things I was wondering about, when I meet professionals, especially in the service industry, was there something that made you decide that this is the area, this is the industry that you want to be working in? Like, how did you get to where you are?
That's a great question. Actually, this is one of the last places I thought I'd ever end up. My father was a stockbroker when they called them stockbrokers, and the last thing I wanted to do is be responsible for other people.
Yeah.
My career, as you mentioned, 43 years in this industry. Started as a trader on Wall Street, Lehman Brothers, as you mentioned, hedge funds, had my own business. And what got me here were the life events, as you're alluding to, within my own world. 14 years ago, my wife got diagnosed, well, 16 years ago, she was diagnosed with breast cancer and passed away 14 years ago. And at that time, as I was offered by friends and new neighbors, uh, should we have a golf outing and raise some money? Have spaghetti dinner at the firehouse as a couple of examples, raise some money. Now, I've been fortunate with my career, and that wasn't necessary, but it really brought to light the need for planning. And that while I thought I had done a pretty good job for my family, I found out it could be done differently. One of the people that asked me those questions turned out to be a new neighbor that is a partner at the C&A Financial Group, stands for coaching and advising. And when my wife eventually did pass away and I had two young kids at home, I needed some flexibility. I needed to be closer to home, and he thought that this would be a good option for me. So I came in and I met the principals, and here I am 14 years later.
Thing. When most people think about planning, they're always thinking about something you do later. But I really feel that you have lived that reason why that's dangerous. What
So
what do people not understand about how fast life can change,
So
considering
part
especially
of
their
I'll share briefly. So part of the planning I did for my family, for myself and my wife, was we planned for college and retirement for ourselves, for our kids, obviously. And eventually, and part of that planning was life insurance, as well as investments and the like. And I mean, my wife was a personal trainer, didn't smoke, didn't drink, no one would have thought. So that wasn't really on our radar at all. It's not on anybody's radar. and what the planning I did, how it could have been much more efficient. You mentioned everyone, not everyone, people may think, oh, when I'm 50, oh, when I'm 60, I'll look into that or I'll look into other things. And these are trees that you need to plant as young as possible. Life insurance, as an example, is something that you really have to plan for ahead of time. People may want to protect a mortgage, but they don't protect their income or their savings ability, things like that. Investing the same way, the advantage of compounding the rewards, the interest that you may earn, it needs time to grow.
Yeah. And, I've always felt that, I love that C&A coaching and advising. That is to me very unique about what you do, Barry. Can you elaborate more about that? Because I do think that
Absolutely.
people should know more about that.
Absolutely. So when I came here, and this is not my 40-year career, this is the last 12/14 years. I say that because the first couple of years was part-time as I was getting used to the new life. Uh, but the idea of coaching and advising is this. The term advisor is pretty universal. And I'm not putting down any other place, but if you're at some places, advising means you put money there and they tell you, okay, invest in this mutual fund or buy this stock. The idea of coaching along the way is the holistic planning that we do at C&A Financial Group. And by that I mean we will take a person, a family, or even a business, will take their goals, their dreams, and their concerns, these non-financial um, things, and build them into a plan that can help people and companies again uh, make sure that they have cash flow they always need, no matter what happens in their world. For me, it turned out to be life insurance. There are other things that can be used. Okay. But also just the fact that we get to know people and it's not just numbers on a sheet. Okay. Part of my program, part of my process is to have conversations excluding the numbers
Mhm.
because sometimes I can see a strategy that may work for someone that they're just not expressing. And when if I know someone, I know their family, I know what they go through, good and bad, I can help them plan for that.
Yeah. What I notice about you is that, when you help families and you talk about them, you really know a lot about them, Barry. It's not very transactional. You are very, looking at their goals. You're asking good questions. And I think that's probably a skill set that not any advisor has, because I think, we get busy and we don't have the time to find out, what's the purpose of what you're doing? Like, what's their goal?
I think asking questions is one of the most important things that we do, yourself
Yeah.
as well, because some people, and this is not an insult, everyone does what they do. People may not know the things that are bothering them or the goals that they have. I'm putting $1 away a week or I'm putting $100 away a week. What's that? What's the purpose of that?
Right.
Some people say I'm just supposed to, and some people may be planning for, oh, if I ask these questions, oh, eventually I'd like to buy a vacation home in Florida, or I want to be able to send my kids to college. I don't want them to come out with any debt. And it takes the questions to get the answers that they may not know. They may not know they have the questions.
Yeah.
Okay. This happens often in business as well. I run into business owners that have problems with employee retention, only they can't, they might complain about what Indeed costs to advertise on or how hard it is to train somebody. And they're not really realizing that they may not have to train somebody or advertise if we can help them with a solution to keep their current employees.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that's a specialty of ours as well.
that's lovely. So not only are families there for coaching and advising, definitely businesses, if they want to grow, if they need to find out like where's the bottlenecks, it sounds like that's something that you can help them with.
Absolutely, we do that. I had one of the biggest compliments I received a few months ago. I was doing planning for a young family, and we put together a particular strategy. And I got a call a week later, hello, what's going on? She's, I got to tell you, I'm sleeping better, and I didn't even know this other problem was bothering me.
Wow.
It was a relief. I'm just doing, when I talk to somebody and I feel that there's some way that we can help a particular area. In this case, it was financial. It was a savings process that we helped them put in place. And once they had that going, they didn't realize that that was a problem in the first place
Yeah.
until they had a solution that, well, I happen to see.
A lot of times we don't know what we don't know. And that happens a lot when we're helping families. A lot of times they look at things online, they talk to friends and families, and they'll come in and they'll say, like, hey, because we do a lot of, trust and estate work. And sometimes they'll say, Chris, I think I can put this together myself. I can put this together myself. And I'm always wondering, can you? Maybe you can. There's so many things that I can do myself. But then how do I know that's the right way? How do I know what the consequences are if I didn't do it another way? And so just you saying that you were helping that business owner discover something that could have been an issue, and now that you made them aware and then you were able to resolve it, that's huge. That is a huge skill, Barry. That is amazing.
Well, thank you. It is, you bring up a good analogy, and this is directly to, well, what I do and what you do. People can, yeah, you can go on the internet and you can see, how do I diversify a portfolio, or, how much should life insurance cost? And the whole point is, I bring it to someone who has an issue in their house, a particular drip in a sink or by a toilet or something like that. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get to that. And they don't get to it until the whole floor has to be replaced. Okay. And when I bring it to our businesses, someone may be able to go with, there are a number of big companies, big names out there. They advertise very well, that can work very cheap for you and help you build a few, a portfolio that may be diversified. Is that optimal for you? Does it complement the other things you have going on in your world? Uh, does it meet your goals? Okay, I often find some people will have, oh, I have a portfolio at three different places so that I don't, so I have some diversification, and they may not realize those three places have such overlap in what
Yeah.
they're doing. This is the kind of thing I do for people, is help them pick that. And lots of times people will come to me and they'll have portfolios over, or they'll have a person, a financial representative. And the last thing I ever do is interfere with a relationship that they're happy with. I'm very happy to be a second opinion, a set of eyes and ears, and I can offer some complementary strategies, or maybe point out how there could be some tweaks to whatever they have going on that's good. I'll share also what I tend to do as in the coaching and advising role is be that person that can help people with all their other experts. There's a lot of people out there that they'll have an attorney, they'll have a financial guy, they'll have a banker, they have an accountant, they have a mortgage guy, a banker. Oh, and they have a brother-in-law that knows everything, by the way. Okay, we all have that. What I do, but rarely will all of those people be at the same table to have a discussion about their finances. Maybe you get a few of them together for Thanksgiving, maybe at a July 4th celebration, a couple of people there, but you're not talking about it. What I do in that situation is I can be the person that you have all these experts and they're all doing a good job, but there may be some overlaps. And I can be that financial quarterback, if you will, the maestro with the baton, keeping all of the players doing their job well, but not necessarily overlapping. So I can
Yeah.
help people save money that way, just organically, by making all of the players they have in their world be more efficient.
That's actually a wonderful, I don't know why that really that strikes a chord with me now. I know you've mentioned it before in our chatting, but now it's making me really think, because you're right, Barry. A lot of times we'll have an insurance broker, we'll have a banker, we'll have a financial advisor, we have someone that we're chatting with our 401k plan, we'll have someone who's helping review, tax strategies. And then at the end of the day, they really should be communicating with each other. And if I'm just a person, I have to say that sounds exhausting. Like, how am I going to get them? So then the idea that I have a professional say, let me handle that, Chris. And then at least you also will know what to look for. Like, I will get overwhelmed, Barry, if I had to sit with all of them and then I don't even know what they're going to be telling me. And then I'm going to get all their whatever, plans, reports, whatever they're telling me they're doing. And I'm like, well, so now what? So you would put that together and paint the picture. This is what you have.
I put that together. I often ask for permission, and it's never not been granted to talk to these other people, to call the lawyer, to call the other financial rep, to call the insurance salesman. We have a client in common. I'm trying to make sure that everything is checked off, all the boxes are checked for this person and their
Hmm.
future. And I do it in a way no one on the other side, I'm not when I get that call, rarely, uh, because we're looking out for our client's best interests. Not only
Oh,
is the law, but it's my nature.
but you know what? That's a good question. As much as you are great as the point for the quarterback, it sounds like there's not many other quarterbacks out there.
I actually have only gotten that call once in
No.
my dozen
What?
years here, where there
Wow.
was a person at a bigger firm, bigger name, uh, a name. By that I mean a name that people would be more prone to know.
Sure.
Uh, and they're like, they said, I'm doing this for this client. It was estate planning. You're familiar. It was estate planning, and I had a particular piece of this person's strategy, and we talked about what would be best for them.
Yeah.
By the way, that person became a client of mine as well.
There you go. So, I mean, you've touched upon how you help families, but maybe Barry, can you just go over, for people who are listening and tuning in, just exactly, what are the areas that you can help? Just have it all out because I can hear it's businesses, I can hear it's families, but I'm curious if you could just lay it out. So when that person's listening and saying like, yeah, that's for me, because he can help, he's saying something that's resonating with
So
me.
let me tell you the thrust of what I do. Okay, be financial rep, life insurance guy. I don't consider myself any of that. What I consider myself is a cash flow strategist. What we do, and I'll get into some particulars that people maybe relate to, but what we do is stress test a person's financial health to the point that no matter what happens, their cash flow never stops. I bring up my own example that I said in the beginning. I was a caregiver for over a year for my wife. I wasn't working. It was a particular time in my life that kind of came about, but I wasn't working. And because of the few things that we had done planning for the future, I was okay with not working and some income, some savings. It worked out okay. And what we do is we put plans in place that if something, as you said in the beginning, happens right away, it's easy to plan for retirement 65 years, if that's 20 years away or even 10 years away,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
it's hard to plan for the unknown.
Hmm.
So that's what I do. And I do that. The things I mentioned before that people think are professions are tools of mine. Life insurance, disability insurance, mutual funds, advisory accounts, annuities, things like this to give guaranteed income later on are what I use. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much how we do it. And there's a multitude of other tools that we use, but most of the best tool is asking questions and having conversations with people.
I
So
love.
we can help these business owners and people recognize, not that I know ahead of time, but by asking questions, we both discover what's actually on their mind, what's bothering them, what their goals really are. Some people might say, I want to have $5 million when I retire, but they may actually want to know that they are guaranteed to make $200,000 a year of income no matter what happens. I don't care if it's 5 million or 1.5 million, as long as I get $200,000 a year of income, whatever your number may be, that's what's really on their mind.
Yeah. That's what.
And so that the questions I ask help me come to those conclusions along with the people.
Yeah, and I love that that's what you are. You are a cash flow strategist. And those are kind of the things that we like to see ourselves as well as legacy strategists. And, when we're helping people build plans like you, and you're right, people can look up things online. They can go down to the local whatever shop and buy a form and think this is what's going to help. But I always like to say, and I think this is where you're coming from too, Barry, is that you help people create plans that can withstand pressure, that can withstand the test of time. That's why I always feel that, people say, like, well, this is what I found online. And the question is, will this be good 10 years from now, 5 years from now, even next year? I don't know because I didn't create it, but I know what I can create because we've done it before. We have the experience. And then same thing with you. And I really think that's what it is. 'Cause I was reading this analogy, and someone was saying that, I can pick up a book and try to figure out how to build a bridge. But if I really want to build a bridge, I want to make sure that it withstands pressure. I want you build it aesthetically. We did it. Like, oh, wait a minute, you want me to drive my car over that? Oh, wait, with that storm, I don't know if I could do that, and that's where you come in. That's where you come in because you're right. I can put money in and see if I can make it grow. I don't know, it's going a little bit, Barry. But then you're going to say, like, if life events happen, now what are we going to do? And I think that is, for me, I can see your value right away, how you helped our families.
That's exactly what we do. We have, and it's not just 43 years of experience. There's a lot of software out there where I can exemplify and run illustrations for people, show their current plan, show how that plays out over the next 10, 20, 30 years, a lifetime, living to 100. I have some people that say, I'm never going to live to 100. I'm going to live to 88. I'm like, well, that's helps my planning. But what happens if you live to 89? What happens? Are you living in your daughter and son-in-law's basement now? I mean, no, that's not the plan. You work a hard life, and if we can put together a plan that helps you live a good life up until your ripe years, and then prepare for what happens after that.
Yeah,
I mean, and those
absolutely.
are the ones, listen, that's easy. Like you said in the beginning, planning if something happens tomorrow or next year, that's the tough part. And that's where the stress testing really comes in. AI is replacing a lot of jobs. I'm not thinking that that's going to be the end of all these jobs, but there are things out there that there's a war going on right now. I'm not taking sides on that, but there are things that affect us that we could not have seen yesterday.
100%. You're
And it's
absolutely right.
important to put these things in place from savings, the most important thing a person can do for themselves, to some maybe more complicated strategies where I can guide people.
Yeah, 100%. So now, as you've been helping a lot of families and businesses throughout your years, Barry, I was curious, what is the biggest misconception or lie that people or businesses tell themselves when it comes to financial planning? Like, is there something that you've seen that, like, because a lot of times it's uncomfortable to make some of these decisions. It's uncomfortable to reach out to a professional to help you with things because I think and so the easier ways, to create these certain kind of stories to avoid calling you. And have you come across certain things that, stick in your mind?
So we label that like the myths of financial planning, okay? And this is not a question. I'm smiling because that's a great question. I'm not 100% prepared for that, but some of the myths we hear, okay, I was talking about planning, and oh, if I go to, and I'm not picking on any name, but if I go to that's not picking. If I go to Vanguard, it's free or it doesn't really cost anything, and I'm like, it's difficult to explain that, yes, this is not a charity here. And in the end, there's compensation, and we could talk about how that works in more individually. But the point is, there's some expertise that goes into what I do. And if it costs, and I'm going to throw out a number, please, 1%. But if you can be better prepared under every and any circumstance, if you make an extra few percent, but it costs 1%, there's some value there that we propose. A fun story, jokes that I heard once was there's a cruise line out there. They have this huge ship and they can't start it. They're in a bay somewhere in Mexico and they can't start the ship. They have all the experts on the ship come in. They call local people. And then there's this one guy they heard that they have to call in. He's 70 years old. He was doing it 50 years. And they call him in. He looks around, takes out this really big wrench, taps in a couple places, and then turns one nut a half a turn. He says, "Okay, that'll be $10,000." The ship started, and they $10,000. You're here 20 minutes. You tapped it. He goes, "You're paying me $20 to tap on things here. You're paying me $9,990 for the 50 years of experience for me to know where to tap." And
That's right.
I hear that, and I love that example because the perspective that someone like myself has, if it was me, 40 years, I've been through life events. I mentioned my wife, what happened with her. I also can mention my daughter. diagnosed with breast cancer last summer that you're aware of. She's all good now.
Yeah.
She's going to be great. But my point is the experiences that come with me and with anyone doing this for a number of years, we've seen markets that go up and down. Lots of times, the average out there is 9% for the Dow Jones, something like that. The average return for a regular retail investor is about 4%.
Wow. Wow, I didn't know that thing.
Because we get scared when the market's down 800 points. Oh no, there's a war going on in Israel and other things. And I don't need to make light of that, of course. But my job also is to kind of hold someone's hand.
Yeah.
There's a chart in my office that shows the market doing this for the last 50 years. Most people sell here, most people buy here. My job is to keep a steady hand and let people know that it's going to be okay, that this is a normal circumstance. And it's hard to put a value on that until the end, when you've made about 8 or 9% a year, and I don't guarantee any of that disclosure on the bottom,
Yeah.
but that's the real value add
I
there.
love that. And I love that story. I've heard that story about
I didn't
the
make it up.
Yeah, no, I love that. I've heard that before. And one of the things that we've always said, when we help families too, we build plans and we want plans to last a lifetime. We want to, make sure these plans meet your goals. And I've always said, what we create, the paper's free. That's free. What we are wanting you to do is to invest in us so that we can prepare for your future, create something of value that you can use and that can withstand pressure. But I always say, oh, the paper's free, because a lot of times they'll be like, wait, you wrote this up and it costs this or whatever it is. And I'm like, that part's free, man. And it's our experience and knowing what to put on the paper. That's the key to everything. So here's another question I have for you, Barry. So, when you think about the families you have helped, if you were to interview them or even the organizations, what would you say is the best thing that they would say about you guys?
The passion that we bring to our planning, how it's not just the finances. Okay, finances are important. I don't want to downplay that. But again, knowing where to put certain pieces. Here's the analogy I love to bring as far as the value we can bring. Everyone plays Scrabble, random tiles. We all get them. Doesn't it seem in one family or one group of friends, there's always one person that wins most of the time?
Yeah.
We want to be the person, the advisor, the coach that helps you play those tile pieces
Love it.
so that how much to put in a 401k? Should I max it out? Should I just do the match? Life insurance. Do I need $1 million? Do I need 100,000? Uh, Investments, annuities. Where do I place all these pieces? When I get to retirement, when do I get Medicare? When should I take my Social Security? These are all pieces to the puzzle that we've educated ourselves on here that we are the experts on.
Yeah.
So when I put a plan in place, that's the beauty of what I do. When you mentioned before, like the other things, part of that quarterback talk, I don't have a client that I don't bother. You have to have a will. It has to be more than like less than 10 years old, too. I can't tell you how often we run into people, they have kids in college, you have no will. Yeah, we've been meaning to do that for 15 years. Okay, these are the things, the kind of coaching we do. I don't do wills. That's you. That's you. I don't do trusts. I recommend certain types for certain people and for certain situations. But these are the things I make sure are in place. There's no point in me putting together the perfect plan for somebody if the government can blow it up.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that is showing, how you are different from other advisors, that you're letting them know I'm looking at you holistically. And I think that's important because there are times I chat with business owners, families, and they'll mention about certain things. And I'll say, well, who's helping you with that? Like, who's your tax strategy? And sometimes they have someone, I'm like, wonderful. And then, but oftentimes, Barry, there's a little bit of a hesitation. They're like, oh, yeah, I have someone. I'm like, okay, if I can have their phone number and I'm going to just introduce myself. And then like, well, we haven't really chatted with them in a while. Okay, and listen, everybody, there's no judgment here. We know we have busy lives, but I do feel that if you're tuning into Barry and you're seeing the value he has, there really shouldn't be anything to stop you from calling and reaching out for some advice because what he does is helping you not just financially, but just with your overall family goals, your business goals. And that's huge because sadly, Not all advisors do what you do. Am I right, Barry? I mean, really, you've
They
seen it.
don't. That's what I think differentiates ourselves. And quite frankly, when I first met the general agent here, I told you the story of how that happened. Uh, I didn't believe that they measure success here by the people they help. There's dollars involved, but that's really a measure here. And after a little while, a few months, a year or two, it's like they stayed with that. That's why I love it here at C&A because they care about the people. We care about ourselves as well, our own community. And it's just been such a great experience that I'm here and I'm going to be here for as long as I'm able to do it.
I love that. So, if there was a young person who was thinking about your industry, Barry, what are the things they should be looking for? What are skill sets that they should have? Because we get a lot of young people that reach out to us thinking about the law, and I'm curious if you had a young person reach out to you, or even anyone who's thinking about your industry, is there any advice that you can share with them from everything that you've been through?
Uh, I would say, I would say one of the most important assets a person can have to start in this career at almost any age, but is patience. All right, and you know what? I mean, I do what I do. I don't consider, I call it coaching, I call it advising. In the end, a sale has to be made. All right,
Yeah.
that turns on the lights and it puts food on the table. And none of this happens in the first meeting. None of it happens overnight. It takes a while. You have to build trust, and that takes time. So
Mm-hmm.
you need patience and you need to be committed to educating yourself continually. The laws change, and there's always, even if the laws stay the same, it would take a lifetime to be an expert in everything. And that's the next thing. I actually that piece of advice I would give is to find a place and a team and be willing to ask for help. We can't be experts in everything. I know a lot. I've educated myself a lot. I am far from the expert in everything. There's a few things. I'm a retirement income certified professional. That's my designation. I know a lot about investing from my previous career. There's a ton of things that I ask the subject matter experts within my own firm and company and friends I have outside of here.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
agree.
that's really important. So patience, humility would be important, but and discipline.
Yeah. I think and what resonates with me when I hear you speak is that sincerity that when you're
Thank you.
chatting with a family, you really want to know. It's not about, you know, any ulterior motives or anything. You want to know because I need to give you good advice. I'm giving you structure. I mean, and that's huge. And I think you're right. That is really one of the bigger things that I've noticed that makes you so different from other advisors. And my team says it all the time, Barry. You had come in and you had made a presentation and just to talk about it, it was nice and easy. But till this day, people bring it up. They're just like, "Hey,
Thank you.
I got to make time to call Barry." I'm like, "Sure." I said, "Listen, guys, please do." And I could tell that you really hit a chord with them. And that's amazing because, we deal with lots of different professionals, but your name is out there. And I'm like, whoa, I go, they really remember Barry, which
I'm
is
glad to hear that.
awesome.
It's not just the bagels. Okay.
There you go. Hey, food goes a long way.
Okay.
So listen, how can people get in touch with you, Barry? What's the best way? We will make sure everyone gets all your information, but I was wondering if you want to share some time here and just explain how they can reach you.
I'd be glad to do it. My office phone number, which forwards to my cell phone when I'm not here, unless I'm on vacation. So it's almost 24/7, would be 732-528-4800. And my extension is 265. My email is my name, Barry underscore Nash at, here comes the fun part, at CA-strategy, STRATEGY.com. Barry
Wonderful.
underscore Nash at CA-strategy.com.
And where are you located?
I'm
And can
located in Wall, New, okay, so I'm located in Wall, New Jersey. All right. I can talk to anybody in the United States,
love
Puerto
it.
Rico, DC, which apparently I have to stress, that's a whole different thing. But I'm licensed in about almost 40 states, and I'm happy to get to be in all 50. So
Oh,
I
that's
can actually do business
fantastic.
throughout the country.
And I bet because, like you mentioned, with certain video tech, it's very easy for you to touch base with everyone, even if they're out in California or wherever.
If there was any kind of a silver lining to COVID, it would be the use of technology, the Zoom that we're doing now, where not too long ago we'd have to be next to each other, which I would love to.
Yeah,
But the fact that so there's people in California, as your example, that maybe would have not wanted to Zoom and want the guy around the corner, and here I am. Their cousin in New Jersey is recommending that they just have a conversation. How simple is this? So there is that. I'll tell you one other. So I deal with retirement a lot, and some older folk, not that I'm a youngin, but some older folk that may have shied away from technology are also very capable of Zooming and having this conversation.
yeah,
So, yes, I deal with all kinds of people from college age to retire and then some, and
I
all
love
throughout
that.
the country.
So my final question, Mary,
Yes.
what you do is I mean, you put your heart and soul when you're helping our businesses and families, and it can be all consuming. But I do need to know, what do you do for fun? How do you, focus on yourself so you can be fresh for the next
Oh, thank
family?
you for asking that. That's a great question. In a different life, not too long ago, I was into the martial arts. I have a black belt in karate. I still like going to events, but my knees have curtailed that. I'm a big boardwalk fan. I walk the boardwalk almost every day. I live about 2.5 miles from there,
Oh, nice.
the Belmar Spring Lake area. I love concerts. I travel to go to concerts. I went to Las Vegas recently to see the Eagles at the
Oh, the
Sphere.
East. That's
I
great.
have a few favorite bands. I'm very close to I was going to say PNC Art Center, but
Love that.
right, the Garden State Art Center in the old days, right? That
Oh,
I
that's
love
great.
going there. I'm very close. Concerts almost anywhere is a real go-to for me.
Oh, that's great. I have to say that's right. I did read you are a black belt in karate. And to me, that feels so symbolic because financial planning, that's discipline, that's preparation, protecting others. That makes sense. That makes
Thank
sense
you. I
why you
never put
do
it
it.
like that. Yeah,
There
thank
you
you.
go, Barry. Now it makes sense because you mentioned it, and I remember reading that in your bio. Fantastic. Well, everyone,
Thank
that was Barry Nash. What an honor to be able to spend some time. I hope all of you
The
can
honor's
find
mine.
that this was such a valuable time. Not only did you learn about what he does and what really a good advisor should be doing for you and your business, but you could see that you do need to focus on people who really like what they do, that they're passionate at what they do. And, his personal story is really one of the driving forces of why he cares so much. So, Barry, thank you so much. I really appreciate all this time. It was so valuable. And we really hope that everyone will keep reaching you, keep contacting you because they really need your guidance and we'll be able to make sure that they have your information. Thank you so much, Barry.
Thank you, Christine. The honor was mine.
Thank you for watching. For more info, go to